Welcome to the Assassin's Creed Timeline, Part 2, Order of the Assassins. In Part 1, we witnessed the origins of the human race and downfall of their creators, ending with humanity rising from the ashes of a destroyed world, as a secret society started by Adam and Eve's murderous son Cain influences the leaders of human society. Thousands of years after the Isu died out, one of the most powerful and successful societies in history rose to prominence, the vast, thriving civilization of Egypt, a kingdom that the last of the Isu helped create, where they were now worshipped as gods, ruled by pharaohs seen as divine beings on earth and covered with majestic pyramids and harsh deserts. Egypt in the final years of the pharaohs was a land in turmoil. Before his death at the hands of the assassin Iltani, Alexander the Great conquered Egypt and founded the city of Alexandria, where he was secretly buried with his staff, an Isu weapon of immense power. Over time, Greek and Egyptian traditions began merging, but Egypt was allowed to keep the tradition of the pharaohs ruling over the people. In Alexandria, around the year 79 BCE, a half-Egyptian, half-Greek girl called Aya was born. At a young age, she moved to the village of Siwa and became close to a boy called Bayek. Bayek was the son of the town's protector Sabu, a man who was a highly esteemed magi, an elite Egyptian military unit that acted as the sworn guardian of the pharaoh and of the entire nation. But with the power of the pharaohs declining, the role of the magi was fading away, leaving Bayek's father as the last magi and protector of his village of Siwa. By their teenage years, Bayek and Aya were a couple, and Bayek trained with his father in the mornings, passing down his training to Aya in the evenings, both of them growing up as skilled warriors. During his training, Bayek also realized he could view the world from the perspective of his eagle companion Senu. Unknown to him, this ability was only found within humans that had Isu DNA in their ancestry, and part of the dormant sixth sense found within them. Years later, after the death of his father, Bayek accepted the role of the last magi and became the protector of Siwa. Bayek and Aya eventually became husband and wife, and Aya became pregnant with their son Kimu. As time passed, Bayek grew to be a loving father, trying to teach his son how to get over his fears.
Don't think so long. Jump.
Yes, Papa.
Trust me. You can.
I do. I will.
Now jump then. Come back. You're not ready.
I can do it, Papa. I can.
And he also enjoyed spending evenings with him looking up at the night sky and teaching him about the gods. But while their lives in Siwa were relatively peaceful, events were transpiring within Egypt that would mark their lives permanently. In 51 BCE, after the death of the most recent pharaoh, his children Ptolemy XIII and his sister Cleopatra became the rulers of Egypt and shared equal power. But Ptolemy wanted the power of the pharaoh to himself, and with the help of the ever-watchful Order of the Ancients, he exiled his sister, and Cleopatra retreated to Alexandria. Now with the new pharaoh of Egypt as their puppet, the Order could control his actions and freely operate in the shadows to impose their will on all of Egypt. Hearing stories of a mysterious vault that held the power of the gods, located somewhere in Siwa, the Order of the Ancients convinced Ptolemy to pass through the village and present himself to his people. Not knowing their true motives, he complied, and they traveled together to Siwa, leading the Order directly to their secret objective. In Siwa, while Ptolemy greeted the populace, the members of the Order discovered the hidden vault underneath the Temple of Amun, but found themselves blocked from entering, with no idea how to open the door leading inside. Knowing that there was a magi protecting Siwa, the Order assumed he would know how to open the vault doors. This leads us to the year 49 BCE and the events of Assassin's Creed Origins. The 5 masked men found Bayek and abducted him, along with Kimu, in an effort to force him to open the doors. The Order believed the Apple of Eden they had in their possession was the key to open the door, and demanded that Bayek show them how to use it. But Bayek had no idea how to open the door, and had no knowledge of this hidden vault. Angered by his denial, the Order of the Ancients threatened the life of his son if he didn't give them the information they demanded. Receiving news that the pharaoh was nearby, they dispersed, fearful that their secret plot would be discovered. In the panic, Kimu attempted to free his father by stealing one of their knives, but then the unthinkable happened.
Don't know.
We must go now. I will cut the heart from the boy.
Oh, wait.
He will never know the afterlife.
No, I will tell you. I will tell you.
You're stalling for time. Stop. This is madness. The snake takes that as your answer. Yeah!
The young boy, his son that Bayek had loved so deeply, was taken from him. Devastated by his loss, he promised that every single masked one present that day in Siwa would pay with their lives. After giving his wife the news, a heartbroken and enraged Aya decided to help her husband track down the masked ones and end them. She traveled to her original home of Alexandria to track down information on her son's killers, and Bayek decided to leave Siwa to do the same thing, leaving the village's safety in the hands of his best friend, Hepzibah. For the next year, Bayek traveled the deserts and villages of Egypt, uncovering information on the ones responsible for Kinu's death. He learned of a man called Rujek, also known as the Heron, who was part of the group present that day, and in the year 48 BCE tracked him down and mercilessly exacted his revenge.
You see this? I can read my own name, Nat! We will find you. We will find you in your sleep! Sleep. I never sleep. I just wait in the shadows, and I will kill you all. Everyone who sniffed the air that day in Siwa!
After killing Rujek, Bayek traveled back to his home in Siwa, following information that Medunamun, also known as the Ibis, the freshly appointed oracle in the Temple of Amun, was one of the masked ones as well. Ever since Medunamun had arrived in Siwa, he'd been subjecting the villagers to torture, demanding answers about the hidden vault, and entire neighborhoods were destroyed. Determined to free his home from the grasp of this false oracle, Bayek found Medunamun, stealing his apple of Eden and giving him the death he deserved.
I die my work unfinished. So close, so very close to ushering in the perpetual rule of the strong and virtuous. But will give us the power of the gods. You are no one. Bayek of nothing. Father to nobody.
And here is your nobody!
Knowing that his wife was tracking down the rest of their son's killers, Bayek decided to leave the home's safety in the hands of Hepzibah again, and said goodbye to his old friend. After arriving in Alexandria, the massive city that Alexander the Great had founded, Bayek found Aya and told her of the vengeance he had dispensed.
I bludgeoned Medunamun with this.
I hate that we have to do these things. But I am grateful that you did.
If I am honest, I took pleasure in it.
Later on, Aya revealed that she had also tracked down two of their son's killers, leaving only one alive, the man who identified himself during the killing as the Snake. During her investigation, Aya befriended Cleopatra, the exiled queen, and her loyal friend and follower Apollodorus. Cleopatra sought to reclaim her throne and get rid of her brother Ptolemy forever, and wanted the Snake dead as badly as Aya did. So Aya became an agent of Cleopatra, becoming loyal to her and gaining her trust. And Apollodorus shared information with her, revealing that the Snake could be embedded deep within Ptolemy's court. Cleopatra had given her blessing to Aya and requested that she kill him with an ancient weapon that had come into her possession. A hidden blade, the same hidden blade that the legendary assassin Darius had used hundreds of years ago.
It's an ancient blade that killed the tyrant Xerxes. A weapon of justice.
Ingenious.
After receiving the hidden blade, Bayek discovered a chest with a false bottom belonging to the pharaoh's royal scribe, Eudoros, and inside this chest was a letter warning of the deaths of the other members of the order and stamped with the seal of the Snake. Now that he knew the Snake's identity, finding his location was easy. Eudoros enjoyed spending time in the local bathhouse, and Bayek followed him in, putting his newly acquired hidden blade to use. Bayek, not used to the hidden blade, accidentally sliced off his left ring finger, but he succeeded at ending Eudoros, avenging his son. But revenge didn't bring Bayek peace. His thoughts were still troubled, wondering if he really killed the ones responsible. Maybe there were more. Aya suggested that he speak to Cleopatra and Apollodorus, and Cleopatra revealed that Eudoros wasn't the snake. He was actually known as the Hippo. The name of the snake actually referred to the Order of the Ancients as a whole, and there are many more members than the ones that Bayek had killed. The people of Egypt were suffering at the hands of the Order. Fear was spreading, people were disappearing, families were being torn apart, merchants being overtaxed and beaten. Bayek began feeling that the mission he chose to embark on may have greater meaning than satisfying his own vengeance, and Cleopatra gave him a badge, identifying him as an official magi of the pharaoh, sending him to assassinate the people that supported her brother's takeover of the throne. During Bayek's travels, he rescued an old man, Gupa, who was almost beaten to death by guards and had his tongue cut out, for investigating the identity of the scarab too. Unable to speak, Gupa gave Bayek a clue to the scarab's whereabouts on a piece of papyrus. The scarab had been summoning warriors to the city of Letopolis, a city besieged by constant sandstorms. Gupa's daughter Maharet told him that her husband Taharka was in the city, acting as its steward, and he may be able to help. Bayek arrived in Letopolis, found Taharka, and gave him a wooden toy that his son had made for him to show that he was an ally. And Taharka told him that he had plans to rebuild the city to its former glory, but it was suffering from bandit attacks constantly, using sandstorms as cover. At that moment, another attack came, and Bayek agreed to help defend the people. After successfully stopping the bandits, Taharka's family came to the city and celebrated with a banquet that Bayek was invited to, but something was wrong.
All right, Bayek. All right, Bayek.
Gods be against you, Taharka. All as you do.
Bayek had been poisoned and left for dead, buried deep in the burning sands of the desert, and he realized that he was betrayed. Taharka was the scarab this entire time, and was using his power and influence to rebuild the city and control it under the Order's terms. After being freed by his horse, Bayek found his gear that was taken from him and found the scarab in the Temple of Horus.
Oh, Mother Mute, watch over me, so that I...
Cut you down! Like you did my father! I got you all, friend! I hate you!
Take care of him. Try to make him understand if you can.
You have brought blood and death to my house.
You are blind. But now you must open your eyes. Your husband was the scarab. He did this. Your father was tortured and scarred by this man, as were so many others.
No!
It is up to you to raise your boy into the light, out of the blood and shadows of his father's legacy. I'm sorry, my son.
After putting an end to the scarab's plans, Bayek traveled to Giza, where the hyena was controlling everything, and keeping people locked up, surrounded by hyenas after interrogating them. Eventually, Bayek tracked her whereabouts to Khufu's pyramid and discovered a secret chamber where Khaliset, the woman known as the hyena, had been performing sacrifices to appease the gods. Unknown to either of them, this was actually an Isu vault, where a recording had been left recounting the days after the solar flare had destroyed the world. Khaliset had lost her daughter and was trying to perform dark rituals in an attempt to bring her daughter back to life, but the grieving mother had caused too much pain to others and had to be stopped.
I just want my daughter back!
With only 2 targets left, the lizard and the crocodile, Bayek traveled to Memphis, where it was believed that a curse had been placed on the land. People were getting sick, and even the Apis bull, which was worshipped in Memphis, fell victim to the supposed curse, becoming ill. In reality, the lizard was a man named Hetepi, a priest of Anubis that had been using poisons to keep the population fearful. After learning that one of the citizens was kidnapped by a priest that had a constant cough and wearing a blue scarf, Hetepi was easily located, hiding among the rest of the priests.
My queen, they acted only to lift the threat on their brother's life.
Curses will trouble you no more.
After Memphis was freed from the grip of the lizard, Cleopatra presented herself to the people as her plans to retake her throne were slowly coming to fruition, thanks to the efforts of Bayek. But his mission was slowly taking a toll on him, as Bayek suffered from visions of his son, reminding him why he was doing this and what he had lost. But his hunt for the crocodile in the region of Fayum would affect him greatly, filling him with guilt and fueling a deep rage within. Apollodorus sent Bayek to find a man called Hotifres, who was one of his informants and had information on the crocodile. He had stolen a ledger that had contained the identity of the crocodile and left it with his wife Kinut to hide in their villa, and she sent her daughter Shadia to show Bayek where their home was located.
Oh, I love my new doll, Bayek. I will name her Iset, and she will be the protector of all Fayum.
Once there, Bayek noticed guards were searching the home, looking for the ledger already, and entering the home he found where the ledger should have been located, but something was wrong. After finding Shadia's diary, Bayek realized that the little girl had secretly taken the ledger in an effort to hide it for her parents. Bayek had just sent her back home to her mother alone, and panicked that the crocodile would find her with the stolen ledger.
Oh, Shadia. What have you done, little one? You cannot play games with the crocodile.
But Shadia and her mother had already been found and taken to the local lighthouse. Bayek rushed to rescue them, but when he arrived, heartbreak ensued.
Shadia.
Serve him.
None of that will bring Shadia back.
No. But at least you'll have the comfort of revenge. We both will.
The men responsible for Shadia's death were gladiators from the arena in Fayum. The crocodile had been hiring gladiators to do his dirty work, and Bayek learned that 2 of the men present that day were large imposing warriors, one with red hair. And in the arena, there happened to be 2 men that fit that exact description, the Gallic brothers, 2 famous and enormous undefeated fighters. So he traveled to the arena and found an old friend called Kensa, also from Siwa, that had become a gladiator. Becoming her partner, he joined the gladiatorial battles in an effort to confront the Gallic twins face to face and make them pay for what they had done.
The Gallic brothers are defeated!
You killed the child from Shadia! That is the least you deserve!
The lighthouse! We didn't kill the right one!
We have done many terrible things, Siwa, but the murder of the child is not one of them!
All hail the new champions!
We were
The
there!
guardians of Siwa!
Capture the girl and take her to Berenike, to the crocodile! It was she who drowned the child, took a book from her, ordered a stone tied to her ankles, and pushed her in the water. There was nothing we could do.
The Gallic twins had nothing to do with Sadia's death, but the identity of the crocodile was finally revealed. With her identity exposed, Bayek discovered her whereabouts and found Kensa protecting her. Feeling betrayed but with no choice left, Bayek had to do what was necessary to avenge the death of Shadia.
Shadia, my lotus. No other will suffer as you did. I swear it. Goodbye, my little tadpole. Swim forever free.
Bayek met up with Cleopatra and informed her that he killed all of his targets, and she revealed two more names, the Jackal and the Scorpion. Bayek was visibly frustrated that Cleopatra had been withholding information so he could continue working for her, but these last two names were the ones directly responsible for his son's death. During this time, civil war was breaking out across Egypt, and Cleopatra demanded Bayek and Aya's help to reclaim her throne, telling them to escort her to Alexandria to meet Julius Caesar, the Roman dictator who had secretly been supported by the Order of the Ancients to gain his power. In the year 48 BCE, Bayek and Aya helped sneak Cleopatra into the palace in Alexandria where she met Julius Caesar. Caesar was so impressed with her that they began an affair and worked with her to kick her brother Ptolemy out of his position as pharaoh.
I can offer you what my brother failed at with me. Marriage. A true marriage, that is.
If you ally with my sister, I will kill every last Roman in Alexandria.
Enough of the big words, little brother.
For the next year, Bayek and Aya did the bidding of Cleopatra and Caesar until finally the queen regained her throne, sending Aya to finish her brother. Aya tracked down Ptolemy, escaping on a raft, and hesitated to kill him. Her distrust of Cleopatra was growing, and her cruel heart was becoming obvious, as she had just ordered the execution of her own brother. But despite Aya's act of mercy, Ptolemy's raft was attacked by crocodiles, and the young man met his end. In 47 BCE, during the Battle of the Nile, Bayek helped Caesar fight back Ptolemy's forces and found Pothinus, the man known as the Scorpion, riding a war elephant, and engaged him in combat.
Still can be done with this. Be free of this battle.
And the last name on Bayek's list, Septimius, the Jackal, was in a nearby village where Bayek rushed to confront him.
Stop, Bayek! Septimius is Roman. We will deal with him under our laws.
He killed my son!
The Pharaoh is dead!
And Bayek was denied his revenge, Caesar using the reason that Septimius was a Roman and would be tried under Roman laws. But during Cleopatra's official coronation, Caesar stood by her side, along with Septimius the Jackal, a free man and a member of the Order. Bayek and Aya realized they had been manipulated all along, and furious that they had been used to put people in power that had partnered with the Order for their own selfish desires. They also discovered that the leader of the Order was a man named Flavius, known as the Lion, who was a Roman and a close ally of Caesar. The Order of the Ancients was no longer just an Egyptian problem. Having one of their leaders inside the ruling court of the Romans showed the Order was widespread and had been influencing the world long before their son was killed. Bayek and Aya unknowingly helped an order that operates in the shadows of leaders and politicians to gain power. But there was nobody operating in the shadows to help the people that fall prey to them. Together, they gathered their allies and supporters and decided to create a brotherhood that would work in the shadows, fighting for the free will of the people.
Hold on. I was wrong. I am responsible. When my boy died, I fought back with rage and anger. But this only made them stronger. We are all different. But we fought together to put Cleopatra on the throne. Now this was a mistake, my friends. But at least it brought us together. Now our enemies are hidden behind crowns, walking in the shadows of kings and queens. Who are the ones that walk in the shadows for the people? We are. Something has come of all of this, and it starts right now. We must continue the fight and defend the free will of the people. And no matter how small, our brotherhood is the only hope, and our kingdom needs no crowns. What we believe in, our values, our creed, will unify us. And I promise that for all the songs of Egypt, I will be the father I was not that day in Siwa. To the Brotherhood.
The Brotherhood!
Meanwhile, Flavius and his forces attacked the palace, and their real intentions were revealed. Their real objective was to gain access to the tomb of Alexander the Great, hidden in Alexandria. Alexander was buried with the Staff of Eden, and the Order learned that the staff, combined with the power of the Apple of Eden, was the key to open the vault in Siwa. Apollodorus, Cleopatra's right-hand man, had disagreed with the Queen's decision to ally with the Order, and he was fatally wounded, trying to defend the tomb from Flavius, who also stole the Apple of Eden that Bayek had entrusted to him. Bayek rushed to Siwa to stop the Order from opening the vault, and discovered the chaos that Flavius had caused on the way, razing entire villages, causing the inhabitants to lose their minds. But when Bayek arrived, the vault had already been opened, and inside he found his best friend had paid the price.
Who created this? The gods themselves. Here's the story of mankind. Bayek. Bayek.
It is Hepzibah. My son. Your life is done here in the desert dust. They took my closest friend.
We must rush to stop Flavius.
No! We cannot leave him here. He deserves a proper farewell.
I saw what happened. It was horrible. The Roman leaders entered the temple vault. Septimius and Flavius. The objects they carried opened it as if by a god's hand. Hepzibah tried to stop them, but they rendered him helpless. They entered the vault. A blue fire seemed to emerge. I fled to nowhere. The entire village lost its reason and fell to the ground like dolls.
They have destroyed Siwa!
They must die!
You must put an end to this!
Bayek! You have the prayers of the entire village to support you.
Let us bring Hepzibah to his rest. Then, we will seek justice!
The vault in Siwa was in reality a map of the entire planet, showing the locations of other vaults, and now the Order had this information. They had taken Bayek's son, destroyed his village, and now have the power to do it to others. They had to be stopped. He followed Flavius' trail of destruction and confronted the man, now holding immense power.
I have followed your path of murder and madness all the way from my homeland. And now, you will answer for my son's death, Roman!
No, Egyptian.
Now you will bow before your god!
You murdered my son! My friends! These are nothing but tricks! Enough! Face me! He was a child, Flavius! My child!
Yeah, that's the one thing I do not regret in my life.
I will never give you peace!
Your son's death made the Order bow to me! Caesar, even. I had Rome! It gave me an empire of 1,000 sons, each one greater than the last. Ah! Come on! Finish me! You coward! The waste of time!
I can't do it! I can't do it!
It's alright, Papa.
No. I will lose you forever.
Not forever. I will be waiting for you in the field of reeds.
Bayek took the Apple of Eden and hid it away, hoping that no one would ever find it again. The Order's power in Egypt had been weakened immensely, and Bayek's son was now at peace. But Septimius and Caesar were still alive and enjoying their power back in Rome. All of the tragedy they suffered led Aya and Bayek to this point in their life, when they would be forced to go their separate ways and answer a calling more important than their own lives.
We must sacrifice our personal lives for the greater good. All this darkness was for a reason.
I was wrong to be so reckless in public without killing. We must work in the shadows.
Egypt has fallen. Greece also. And Rome will fall too. All will fall to the creed, yet no one will know.
When we assassinate only those who deserve it. The few sick souls who try to control us. But they will never know who we are. Cold, calculated, poets of the kill.
I am fine with this. I am not a father anymore. I am not a husband. I am not a Magi. I am a hidden one.
Yes. We are the hidden ones.
We sharpen our blades, pull what hope is left from this foul earth.
Lord Bayek of Siwa. What are you of now?
A new creed. Ours is finished.
They were now the founders of an organized brotherhood called the Hidden Ones, that would eventually be known as the Assassins. Bayek stayed behind in Egypt, building the Brotherhood and gathering more like-minded members, who sacrificed their personal lives to the Brotherhood, beginning traditions and rituals inspired by Bayek that would last hundreds and hundreds of years, wearing hoods, using hidden blades to take down their enemies, and even removing their left ring fingers.
I believe in you.
After arriving in Rome, Aya spent years planning the death of Septimius and Caesar, recruiting supporters of her own, and building up the Roman Brotherhood. One of the most important members being the Roman politician Brutus, now one of the earliest members of the Assassin Brotherhood alongside Aya. In 44 BCE, after officially declaring himself ruler of the Roman Republic, Caesar would face his judgment. But first, Aya needed to end Septimius once and for all, the last man left alive responsible for her child's death.
So Caesar is the king of the order now.
Caesar is the father of understanding.
You and Caesar will die.
You are meddling with the affairs of the order. The order is greater than Rome.
This stuff.
With the order, I served then on your beloved Egypt. And I'll be rewarded in the afterlife. An eternity of drinking and whoring with my brothers.
The only thing that waits for you is oblivion. For your name, your order, and the rotting corpses of your Gavignani. Apeth devour your fetid heart.
And with the assassins implanted within his senate, Caesar's fate was sealed.
You too, my child. The tyrant is dead! You are free now!
After Caesar's death, Aya delivered a stern warning to Cleopatra.
Caesarion would have sat on the throne of Rome.
Listen to the cries in the streets. They call you a dead tyrant's whore.
I am still your queen.
You are a queen of liars and snakes. I fought for you for 5 years. Our people worshipped you. Apollodorus died for you for Egypt.
For Egypt? I am Egypt.
Then be the ruler our people deserve, or nothing will save you from my blade across your throat. You are the last of the pharaohs.
This closes off the events of Assassin's Creed Origins. Despite Caesar's death, civil war continued for another 13 years, and eventually the Republic of Rome became the Roman Empire, where the Assassin Brotherhood continued operating in the shadows. And Aya, abandoning her previous life completely, adopted the name Amunet, later immortalized by the Assassin Order as one of the legendary assassins for her actions. In the year 30 BCE, after failing to heed her previous warning, Cleopatra fell victim to the assassins, as promised. Amunet snuck into Cleopatra's quarters and used an extremely venomous snake called an asp to poison her, and the story of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, ended. The Assassin Order slowly spread through nearby regions as Bayek and Aya determined the details behind how they would operate, and the Assassin Order would learn to follow the Assassin's Creed, a set of beliefs that they swore their lives to. The creed had many ideas found within it, but the three main tenets that were followed closely: stay your blade from the flesh of an innocent, hide in plain sight, and never compromise the Brotherhood. As the Hidden Ones became the Assassins, the Order of the Ancients, now pursued relentlessly by them, had to change also to survive. And their opportunity would soon come with the birth of a man known as Jesus of Nazareth. Around the year 4 BCE, Jesus grew up as a Jewish carpenter, and at some point in his early years, he discovered a Shroud of Eden, which was made during the time of the War of Unification to heal fatal wounds, and an Apple of Eden. Using these tools, he preached messages of peace throughout Rome and Judea, and gained followers who believed he was performing divine miracles. The Order of the Ancients took notice of this man, and many of his followers, and discovered what the source of his powers were, thanks to a betrayal by his close friend and disciple, Judas Iscariot. The Order influenced Roman authorities to capture Jesus of Nazareth, and in the year 33 CE, he was arrested, tortured, and crucified. After his death, they claimed his shroud and Apple of Eden. At some point, his followers reclaimed the shroud and used it to heal his wounds, seemingly bringing him back from the dead. What happened after this event is a mystery shrouded in time, but the stories of his miracles and resurrection spread, influencing the creation of one of the world's largest religions, Christianity. The Order of the Ancients allowed the stories to spread, and they kept a watchful eye on the growing religion, which they would eventually use for their own purposes. Throughout the 2nd and 3rd century, the Roman Empire grew in power, and when any empire grows in strength, their enemies multiply. The expansion of the empire led to a region where the Alemanni resided, Germanic barbarian tribes located in what is now France. Although the Romans and barbarians were in opposing sides of the war, the Assassin Brotherhood attracted members from both sides. The barbarian assassin Accipitor and his Roman soldier cousin Aquilus both secretly fought for the Brotherhood. Accipitor in command of barbarian forces he used against the Roman army, and Aquilus assassinating targets within the Roman military. In the year 259 CE, Accipitor came into the possession of the Ankh of Isis, an Isu artifact originating from Egypt. The Ankh was originally used by the Isu, known as Isis, to briefly resurrect her husband Osiris from the dead and help the early Egyptian pharaohs by healing any sicknesses. It also had the ability to record messages. Accipitor knew his role in direct combat could mean his death, and he was concerned that holding onto this artifact was too dangerous. He arranged to meet with his cousin to give him the Ankh, leaving it under the protection of the Roman Brotherhood of Assassins. Aquilus was sent to meet his cousin, but was also given the mission to take the life of the Roman general Groxus. Infiltrating Groxus's camp as a messenger, Aquilus used the opportunity to get close to the general, but unknown to him, the general was well aware of his role as an assassin and stabbed the young man, leaving him bleeding on the floor. Soon after, Accipitor arrived, and his forces encountered the Romans, winning the battle and finding his cousin unconscious inside the general's tent. Accipitor took Aquilus home and tended to his wounds, and after he recovered, he handed the artifact over to his cousin, and Aquilus transported it to his family's villa, where his father lived. Aquilus's father, Lucius, also an assassin, introduced his son to an old friend of his, a Roman senator named Caius Fulvus Vulture. Lucius revealed that Aquilus almost died due to the actions of a local priest called Faustinus. The priest had discovered the plans to assassinate the Roman general and betrayed the assassins. Leaving the Ankh of Isis with his father, Aquilus set off to interrogate Faustinus, and after Faustinus denied anyone else was involved in the betrayal, he was forced with violence to give up the information he knew. The priest was forced to betray the assassins by a member of the Order of the Ancients, Caius Fulvus Vulture, the man that was close friends with Aquilus's father and inside his home. In a panic, Aquilus rushed back to his family's home and discovered his father murdered by Caius, who had stolen the Ankh and fled. Enraged, he traveled to the capital and tracked down Caius, killing his guards and facing him. Caius explained why the Ankh was so important, and Aquilus briefly listened, but struck the traitor down without mercy and reclaimed the Ankh. The Roman assassin returned home to his wife and explained everything that had happened, as he found himself curious, fidgeting with the artifact and discovering a recorded message from his father. Aquilus was successful in avenging his father's death, but his story would only end in tragedy. While listening to his father's message, a battalion of Roman soldiers had followed him and arrested both of them, leading Aquilus and his pregnant wife to a local forest for execution. Accipitor discovered that his cousin had been taken and followed the trail of Romans to the camp in an effort to rescue them, attacking the convoy. In the chaos, one of the Roman guards slit Aquilus's throat, killing him before meeting his own end. Accipitor had failed to save his cousin, but was able to free his wife, and requested that she take the Ankh and hide it somewhere safe where nobody would ever find it. The young woman knew of a cousin Aquilus had that lived on the Italian coast, and agreed to stay there while she delivered the baby. Once she arrived, she built an altar honoring her deceased husband and hid the Ankh inside a secret compartment inside the statue, in a location that would one day be near a villa belonging to the legendary assassin Ezio Auditore. Although they failed to get the Ankh, the Order of the Ancients grew in power within the Roman Empire. In the year 313 CE, the Roman Emperor Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, which accepted Christianity as the official religion of the empire. The order, already embedded within the Roman government, used the new religion to spread its influence, placing its members within the organization. Throughout the centuries, conflicts in the Middle East would turn into full-scale religious wars. Christian and Islamic forces would clash, trying to take control of the holy cities of the Middle East, with the order playing both sides. These conflicts are known to history as the Crusades. Eventually, the order became so prevalent within the church that they formed a military group, masquerading as warriors of God, shedding their old identity of the Order of the Ancients and adopting the Mark of Cain as their official symbol. They became the Knights Templar. Becoming the Templars allowed them to move freely through the civilized world and operate openly under the guise of being holy warriors. But throughout the 12th century, with the Crusades raging in the Middle East and the world distracted by conflict, how can the Assassins ever hope to counter the immensely powerful Templar Order? Join me next time in the Assassin's Creed Timeline Part 3, the Levantine Brotherhood, where we'll travel to what is now Syria and witness a reckless assassin born from two worlds, learn the secrets of the Isu, and lead the Brotherhood into a bigger world.